got one that can see.
And now,
for an actor, good roles are hard to come by.
I was a Nubian space slave last week with an aluminum foil jockstrap.
Ow! Hey, remember when I played a sperm and I begged for that part?
But Jack Noah is about to get the role of a lifetime.
I happen to be a very well-known American actor.
Not that well known.
What are you, a critic?
I got a part for you to play.
This is a real man!
It's a role any actor would die for.
Play the part or I'll kill you.
When do I start?
Meet the new president of Parador.
Not like that. With a flip.
I'm flipping! Tell me, Parador!
We have a hit.
He's a total bloody genius, isn't he?
Who are you? I'm an actor. I'm playing the dictator.
I can help you play the part of Hitler.
He's not the first actor to become president.
Hello. This is your dictator speaking.
But he may be the last.
Wait.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Why didn't you get Bobby De Niro or Dustin Hoffman?
Raul Julia.
Left. Wrong.
Overnight, our time, the US Vice President Kamala Harris headed to Eastern Europe, meeting with the Polish president in Warsaw, getting back on track with Poland after their fighter jet exchange for Ukraine was rejected by the US, and of course coordinating NATO efforts to support the resistance in Ukraine. But I've got to show you another clip of the Vice President in Warsaw. With such a feeble president in office, it's so worrying that Kamala Harris is so green when it comes to diplomacy. She had to look at her notes to say where she was, and her habit of laughing whenever the pressure is on has certainly jarred with people around the world. Today we saw it come out when she was discussing a brutal invasion and the refugees it's producing.
President Duda, I wanted to know if you think, and if you asked the United States to specifically accept more refugees.
Okay. A friend in need is a friend indeed.
Okay, I can first.
Sonia Braga.
You should get an Oscar for tonight.
And a cast of thousands.
I love you, Sammy.
I love you.
From the creators and star of Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
You're a funny guy. What a psychotic.
Moon over Parador.
Let's warm up and do some aerobics. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, everybody!
I hate actors.
Listen, I have kind of a pressing appointment, but I thought you might run into a roadblock, so I asked someone to drop by. Hello,
Mike?
sir?
Donald.
Mr. Trump here wrote The Art of the Deal. Then he wrote a new bestseller, The Art of the Comeback.
2 books. Wow. Well, sit down. Well, that must have been tough coming up with that much material.
No.
It's been hard getting started, though, right?
First day, 9 chapters.
9 chapters.
You should call your next book The Art of Not Helping.
Well, the red wave has not materialized in the House yet, but you know where it did materialize? The great state of Florida. The cover of the New York Post says young GOP star DeSantis romps to victory in Florida. DeSantis is the future because it looks like he will win by about 20 points, which is extraordinary given the fact that back in 2018, he beat Gilliam by just 33,000. DeSantis won everywhere in the state.
Mr. Jones owned a cotton plantation and many slaves. One day he was talking to the owner of the plantation next to his, and Mr. Jones was lamenting the fact that times were tough. He was having to work his slaves harder than ever, and was having trouble with some of them being disobedient or trying to run away. The other plantation owner said he knew someone who could help.
Day 1.
One day Mr. Jones called his slaves together so a man named Mr. Smith could talk to them. Before beginning, Mr. Smith whispered to Mr. Jones, "Whatever I say, do not contradict me or interfere, and I promise you your slave troubles will end." "My name is Mr. Smith," he said to the slaves, "and this may be the happiest day of your lives. From today forward, you will no longer be slaves, but free men. Mr. Jones was so shocked he started to step forward, but Mr. Smith gestured for him to remain silent. He did, only because the other plantation owner had spoken so highly of Mr. Smith's skills. "You are no longer the property of Mr. Jones," Mr. Smith continued. "You are free. No more will you be forced to labor for the benefit of Mr. Jones. Now you can work for yourselves." Now the slaves were all murmuring and looking at each other. Many were smiling, many were looking puzzled. "In fact, you are now free to leave the plantation whenever you want," Mr. Smith said. "However, since we are surrounded by other plantations, if you leave, some other plantation owner will likely claim you as his own the moment you set foot on his property. So I urge you not to risk your newfound freedom by doing something so foolish. Instead, I suggest that you stay here, no longer as slaves, but as willing participants and part owners of this plantation. Yes, this is now your plantation." Mr. Jones bit his tongue to keep from objecting. "For now, we might as well leave Mr. Jones in charge," said Mr. Smith, "since he is the only one with any experience at running a plantation, which is quite a complicated thing to manage. But he will no longer be your master, but just another worker on the plantation. In fact, he will now be using his organizational and management skills to serve you. Whatever problems you may have had with him before, you are now all equals, and you need each other to make this work. If we all cooperate and work together, we can all reap the benefits together. In honor of this happy occasion, I present you this new symbol of togetherness and cooperation, this flag, which shall be the emblem of the new free Jones plantation." He held up the new flag, but most of those listening were still too amazed to respond. "And this shall be our motto," Mr. Smith announced. "We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all. To celebrate, everyone has the rest of the day off. Enjoy your freedom, do as you please, and be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, so that we may begin work on this great and noble new endeavor as equal free men." Finally convinced that Mr. Smith was serious, the former slaves applauded and cheered.
Day 2.
"We all want this plantation to do well," Mr. Smith said at the beginning of the next meeting, "so we can all share in the benefits. We all know that it takes a lot of effort to make a cotton plantation work. Just because you're all free doesn't mean you can stop working. In fact, since you're now working for yourselves, I expect you to work even harder than ever before, but now with pride and joy, knowing that you're working for yourselves. Of course, there still have to be rules. If everyone just does whatever he wants, the plantation won't produce anything. This experiment will fail, and we'll all starve. You should be thankful that Mr. Jones has agreed to stay on to lend his knowledge and skills to this endeavor, and I trust you will all do your own part to make this work. Several of you have been chosen to act as project supervisors to manage different aspects of the operation, to make sure everyone is doing his assigned job, to make sure that the rules are followed, and so on. The rest of you may head out to the fields to start your first day of work as free men."
Day 3.
The next morning, Mr. Smith had a grim expression on his face as the daily meeting began. "I have an unpleasant duty to do today," he said. "Yesterday, Charles was caught keeping some of the cotton he picked, presumably to sell for his own personal profit. That is against the rules. That is stealing. For that, Charles must be punished." Two men tied Charles to the whipping post. "I take no joy in this," Mr. Smith continued, "but you must understand, if we do not maintain order, if we do not have rules that we all abide by, then the plantation will fail, and we will all suffer." The whip cracked against Charles' back. "But if we all pitch in for the common good, then we can all prosper. Being free doesn't mean you should be selfish and greedy. We must each do our assigned duties and obey the rules, and then we can all benefit, and each of you will receive your appropriate share of the profits." A young man named Samuel stepped forward. "But if you and Mr. Jones decide the rules and whip us if we disobey, how is that any different from what we had before?" "How can you say that?" Mr. Smith asked. "I'm shocked. You were a slave before, and now you're free. Things still need to be managed and organized by those best qualified to do so. Do you know how to run a plantation, Samuel?" "Well, no," he answered. "But if we're free, why do we get no say in what the rules are and how things work?" "I'm surprised at your ingratitude," Mr. Smith answered. "None of you know how a plantation is run, so you're in no position to be making decisions about how things are done here. You don't seem to appreciate all the things that Mr. Jones provides for you, from protecting you from all the outside threats that you know nothing about, those who would come here, capture and enslave you, if not for Mr. Jones' protection, to making sure that you all have food and housing, tools to work with, you're cared for when sick and injured, and so on. There wouldn't be a plantation at all, no cotton to pick, no land to plant and harvest, if not for him. You should be grateful that he's made possible the level of comfort you now have. Your lives would be far worse if not for him. Nevertheless, as free and equal participants in this endeavor, from now on at each meeting, any worker may have 2 minutes to ask questions or voice suggestions or complaints." With that, the workers all seemed satisfied and headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton.
Day 4.
"I have a big announcement," Mr. Smith said as the daily meeting began. "Mr. Jones' cousin is here, and not just to visit and see how our project is coming along. It has been decided that from now on, you will be deciding who will manage the plantation. Of course, this job can't be done by just anyone, but every 3 months we will have a special meeting at which all the workers will vote on whether we think Mr. Jones should run the plantation or whether we think his cousin, Mr. Johnson, should run the plantation. That means that ultimately you are in charge because you will be deciding which man you want running things on your behalf. If you don't like the way things are being managed, you now have the power to change it." Amazed and pleased, the workers headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton. Days passed, months passed, a year passed, and the plantation continued to operate as before. Sometimes Mr. Jones was in charge, sometimes Mr. Johnson was in charge, but the day-to-day routine stayed exactly the same. The workers worked hard, long hours every day, and still had little to show for it. Every day the meeting would begin with them all reciting the Jones Plantation motto, "We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones Plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all."
You call that human rights, China? I call it human wrongs. Comedy. Sundays on TNT.
It's a picture-perfect match made in comedy heaven. Maya Rudolph as Senator Kamala Harris.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Maya earning an Emmy Award nomination this year for her popular portrayal on SNL. And this morning, as Joe Biden names Harris as his running mate, the world is ready for Rudolph.
I'm also America's cool aunt. A fun aunt. I call that a funt.
Maya Rudolph trending on Twitter shortly after Biden's announcement. "Miss Rudolph, your country calls. We require your service."
One day, Mr. Smith announced, "Samuel is asked to say a few words this morning, and whatever the rest of us may think of his ideas and opinions, we are all free here, and that means we are all allowed to speak our minds. So, Samuel, you have 2 minutes. Begin." Samuel stepped forward, looking scared. "I was excited when all this started," he began, glancing nervously at Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones. "But don't you all see what's happened here? Nothing's changed. We're all still slaves." There were grumbles of disagreement from the crowd. "They tell us what to do and whip us if we don't. They still make all the rules and punish us if we disobey. They let us make suggestions and complain about things, but they never really change anything. They let us choose between Mr. Jones and Mr. Johnson, but what's the difference? The situation stays the same. We do all of the work and they take as much as they want and decide how much they'll let us keep. They live in luxury, made rich by the cotton we pick. We do all the work and have to build our own huts, grow our own food, and take care of ourselves. They leave us just enough that we don't revolt or run away. This is not freedom. We're all still slaves. They've only changed the words they use, but nothing else has changed. They say we're all free and equal, but we're not. They command and we obey. That's not freedom. That's not equality. They say we're free to leave, but all that means is that we're free to be someone else's slave. Why should we work or obey the rules? We didn't agree to this. They made the system. They forced it on us. They control and rob us and call it freedom. They've deceived you into thinking that being able to choose which slave master you'll work for is the same as being free. It's not. Open your eyes. If you keep what you produce, they call it stealing. When they take what you produce, they call it sharing and fair distribution. Can't you see that this is all your time? He's up, Samuel, Mr. Smith announced calmly. At his gesture, 2 supervisors grabbed Samuel by the arms and led him to the whipping post. "I'm sorry, Samuel, but you've broken the rules. There are rules against encouraging others not to work and encouraging others to break the rules. You're only hurting all of us with your discontentment and your complaining and your disobedience." The whip fell and Samuel let out a grunt. "Without rules, without order, all would be lost. Without law, there would be chaos. We can't just behave as wild animals, each doing whatever he pleases. We must all follow the plan and all do our duty for the betterment of everyone. And those who do not must be punished."
You think rap lends itself to acting as well?
Well, I think a lot of rappers are great liars. I'll just keep it a buck. Yeah, a lot of them are great liars, and I think that translates on screen.
Like, I am a god. Everybody says, who does he think he is? I just told you who I thought I was. A god. I just told you. That's who I think I am.
I had plastic surgery because I was trying to look good for y'all. I got liposuction because I didn't want y'all to call me fat. About slavery for 400 years. For 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all?
The whip fell again and blood flowed freely from Samuel's back.
Park. Now everybody's trying to I don't give how much you sold. If you playing on radio, are you connecting? Picasso is dead. Steve Jobs is dead. Walt Disney is dead. Name somebody living.
Samuel, it is you who are stealing from the others. When you don't do your assigned work, you are making more work for others. When you disobey the rules, it is you who are endangering the future of everyone else here. You are the thief. You are the criminal. You are the one trying to destroy the arrangement that keeps us all safe and prosperous. At every lash of the whip, the other workers cheered louder and louder, some yelling curses at Samuel. Being spoiled and selfish, you complain about everything, talking as if you're oppressed. But you are the one ruining things. You are the one keeping us from being all we could be. It is your greed and your rebelliousness that is hurting all of us. They all play by the rules, Mr. Smith said, gesturing at the others. What makes you think that you don't have to? You think you're above the law? There were loud yells of agreement as the whip fell again. We must maintain order, Mr. Smith proclaimed, to make this plantation great, to make it so that we can all be happy and prosperous. To have the society we want, there have to be rules. We all have to contribute our fair share to this great endeavor, and we cannot tolerate actions and attitudes that seek to undermine the amazing things that together as free men we have achieved and will continue to achieve. Mr. Jones was smiling as he gave Mr. Smith a pat on the back. The crowd was cheering so loudly that none of them had noticed that Samuel had died.
Hi, folks. It's me, Donald Trump. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's actually not presidential hopeful Donald Trump. It's Johnny Depp.
That's weird.
Right? Funny or Die went all out to create a full 51-minute spoof that centers around Trump's best-selling book, Art of the Deal. The Art of the Deal! And it could go down as one of the most epic parodies of all time.
I, Donald J. Trump, am being sued for discriminating against minorities.
The movie is packed with famous faces like Ron Howard, Henry Winkler, and Room's Jacob Tremblay.
The only thing with more brass is my balls.
You're my hero, Mr. Trump. Sounds like you got everything you ever wanted.
Secret Service telling NBC News this morning it is aware of Johnny Depp's comments. The actor is in the UK to promote a movie, but prompting a backlash overnight. Johnny Depp on stage at a music festival in the UK when, apparently speaking in jest, he referred to assassinating President Trump. When Depp brings up President Trump's name, the audience cheers.
I think he needs help. I don't know. A lot of wonderful dark places he could go.
Then Depp said this.
By the way, this is going to be in the press. It'll be horrible. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? Now, I want to clarify. I'm not an actor. I lie for a living.
Just like Donald.
However, it's been a while. And maybe it's time.
It's just over a week since the shooting at a GOP charity baseball practice that left House Majority Whip Steve Scalise seriously injured. He's still in the hospital. Depp's comments lighting up social media overnight. One tweet, Secret Service, are you listening? Another, Disney, you might want to rethink your relationship with Johnny Depp. And it was just last month, another Hollywood celebrity, Kathy Griffin, posted a video of herself holding a fake severed head of President Trump. The backlash cost the comedian an endorsement deal, her New Year's Eve gig with CNN, and cancelled tour dates. Johnny Depp has parodied Mr. Trump before in this Funny or Die sketch from last year.
That is what you call the art of the deal.
But Depp clearly knew his assassination comments would be controversial. Now, we have reached out. So far, no response from Johnny Depp or on social media. Now, look, it's possible that he was referring to Abraham Lincoln's assassination in 1865. His killer was, of course, the actor John Wilkes Booth. At one point, Depp saying, it's just a question, I'm not insinuating anything, but it wasn't clear exactly whether he was referring to the assassination comment. Guys?
Donald say he wants to run for president and move on into the White House. Why not? It wouldn't be the first time you pushed a black family out of their home.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish things they simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Barack and I were raised with so many of the same values, like you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
My parents impressed on me the values that you work hard for what you want in life, that your word is your bond, and you do what you say and keep your promise.
That you treat people with dignity and respect, even if you don't know them and even if you don't agree with them.
That you treat people with respect. They taught and showed me values and morals in their daily life. That is a lesson that I continue to pass along to our son. And we need to pass those lessons on to the many generations to follow.
And Barack and I set out to build lives guided by these values and to pass them on to the next generation, because we want our children and all children in this nation to know that the only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard for them.
Because we want our children in this nation to know that the only limit to your achievements is the strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
Washington's biggest mystery since Watergate. What kind of dog will the Obamas choose? Our resident veterinarian, Dr.
We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
And look, but this is one time. Forget the conspiracy. Listen to our government agencies. These guys are telling the truth. You know, there's no conspiracy here, folks. Just get your damn vaccine.
All right, thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Mercury-containing vaccines may help, not harm kids, according to 2 new studies in the journal Pediatrics. There have been widespread concerns that mercury-based preservatives in vaccines might impair the neurological development of children. These new studies suggest that the opposite, that the preservatives may actually be associated with improved behavior and mental performance. I think people should be careful what they wish for on China. You know, if China were to revalue its currency, or China is to start making, say, toys that don't have lead in them or food that isn't poisonous, their costs of production are going to go up, and that means prices at Walmart here in the United States are going to go up too. So I would say China is our greatest friend right now. They're keeping prices low, and they're keeping prices.
Today, 6 corporations control all major media in the United States, including the principal television networks. These 6 corporate entities, in turn, control the information being broadcast on a daily basis. The average American adult watches more than 4 hours of television each day. The constant flow of entertainment, news, and information that is consumed by the American public shapes their perception of the reality in which they live. By controlling the dissemination of information, broadcasters and their corporate heads are able to control the masses. The constant, carefully shaped messages on television guide the public to predetermined conclusions.
You guys have got to try the cold. Try it. I've
had it. Well, I thank Mike Johnson, the great conservative champion we have here. Madam Speaker, the sons and daughters of America are not foot soldiers for your party's inept geriatric despot. They are not expendable pawns to be dispatched at the whims of an idiot, tossed carelessly around the world to godforsaken caves and bloody sandboxes. They are Americans, worthy of honor and dignity. The only salute from them Joe Biden deserves involves one finger.
Are we rolling tape on that?
We are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
And we give it back to you, the people.
For too long, a small group in our nation's capital
are corrupt,
has reaped the rewards of government,
the rich,
while the people have borne the cost.
The oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity.
The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country.
And do you accept the resignation of all of these liars, of all the corrupt?
That all changes, starting right here and right now, because this moment is your moment. It belongs to you.
None shall interfere. Do as you please.
January 20th, 2017 will be remembered as the day the people became the rulers of this nation again. The United States of America.
It will endure.
You know, I've been hearing more and more about a thing called fake news. Fake news. I've seen people destroyed, and I think it's very unfair. Some of the media outlets that I deal with are fake news. Fake news. I think it's a disgrace. The absolute disgrace, but I don't think they care. Well, first of all, one of the reasons I'm here today is to tell you the whole Russian thing, that's a ruse. It's a ruse. I own nothing in Russia. I don't have any deals in Russia. Russia is fake news. I just see many, many untruthful things. The press has become so dishonest. The public doesn't believe you people anymore. You have a lower approval rate than Congress. You know, I've been hearing more and more about a thing called fake news. Fake news. I've seen people destroyed, and I think it's very unfair. Some of the media outlets that I deal with the fake news. Fake news. I think it's a disgrace, the absolute disgrace, but I don't think they care. I'll tell you something, I don't mind bad stories. I can handle a bad story better than anybody as long as it's true. But I'm not okay when it is fake. It's all fake news. I mean, it's story after story after story. We're not gonna let it happen again. The public gets it. When I go to rallies, they want to throw their placards to CNN. Here's the thing. I want to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press. It's so important to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press. I want to see an honest press. But our nation's reporters will not tell you the truth. So I'll go over just some of them. MSNBC. You are fake news. The New York Times. You are fake news. CBS, NBC, ABC, BBC, LA Times. You are fake news. The Washington Post. You are fake news. CNN. Very fake news. Politico. AP. Hotball. BuzzFeed. Failing pile of garbage. And I've been hearing more and more about a thing called fake news. Fake news. I've seen people destroyed, and I think it's very unfair. Some of the media outlets that I deal with the fake news. Fake news. I think it's a disgrace. The absolute disgrace, but I don't think they care.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Donald Trump Museum, dedicated to America's #1 citizen and America's greatest living folk hero, the one and only Donald Trump. Learn the amazing history of the Trump family.
Somebody criticized me the other day because they asked me what I do, and I said, I'm going to bomb the shit out of them. It's true. I don't care.
And I guess I have some very good enemies, and I like it that way somehow. And I really believe in trashing your enemies.
Inside, you will learn how Donald Trump's father left him a large inheritance.
Nobody's going to do more women than Donald Trump. That I can tell you. That I can tell you. And I think they know it.
Discover how in 2016, Donald Trump successfully lobbied to legalize gambling.
Part of the beauty of me is that I'm very rich.
He wants to run for president and move on into the White House. Why not?
Share in the stupidity of the average American as they made him the 45th president of the United States.
Today is a big day for fans of Back to the Future, the movies. Today is October 21st, 2015. It is the date to which Marty McFly and Doc Brown travel in Back to the Future 2. I remember when I first saw the movie, and it was amazing. You know, part of the fun was it was amazing to see what life might be like 30 years in the future. And now that we're actually here in the future, we back to is everything. What?
Doc, where are we? According to my calculations, this is the year 2015, Marty. The future.
What about Biff? Oh, Biff. You know what? Biff is here. A few months ago, he lost his job, but he's working as our he's working for us as our stage manager now.
Hello, buttheads.
Yeah.
Not that Biff. I'm talking about the guy from 1985 who became a rich, egomaniacal casino owner and ruined the world.
Oh. No, I know who you're talking about. That guy's running for president right now. Yeah. We'll be right back with the team.
That will easily go down
as the greatest president in the history of the United States. Me, Donald John Trump.
No! Hey, no! Hey, wait, you come with us upstairs.
There you go, Sonny. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way.
Well, that's all, folks. That's my line. Step aside, babe. Let a star do this. That's all!
That's all, folks.
Can I go home now?
Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him, and show him my salvation.